From the world headquarters of Fox News, it's The Kelly File with Megyn Kelly.
Well, Happy New Year! We can't hear, but I'll just get through the motion, okay? We didn't have a check for this song, so we'll just say it went to number one, and that's what it is, okay?
Oh, OMG, OMG. Oh, secondhand embarrassment. Developing tonight, new questions about the legal implications, I say, of Mariah Carey's reaction to her New Year's Eve performance. The singer's botched performance on New Year's Eve becoming a viral sensation, but the drama did not stop when the show ended. In moments, we'll be joined by attorneys Mark Eiglarsh and Andel Brown on the potential legal fallout. But first, we check in with Trace Gallagher, who volunteered to be on this story all day long. Go ahead, TG.
I did, Megyn. Mariah Carey's team says she was singing to track, meaning parts of her performance are lip-synced and other parts she sings live. Either way, her manager says Carey needs to be able to hear the music, and she couldn't because her earpieces did not work. But production sources told Entertainment Weekly that part of the problem was that Carey skipped rehearsal. Carey's people deny that, saying she had a stand-in dancer, but she did the sound check and complained the audio was coming in choppy. Carey's manager says the production company assured the singer that everything would work once they went live. It didn't. Watch.
You just don't get any better.
Yeah, a little off. Mariah Carey walked off stage and shortly after tweeted, quote, "Blank happens. Have a happy and healthy new year, everybody. Here's to making more headlines in 2017. But when the disaster...
Attorney on this important matter. Thank you for being here, counselors. Mark Eiglarsh, let's start with whether the Dick Clark production company can... It is alleging were her representatives' defamatory statements about them setting her up to fail.
Absolutely not. They would have to prove actual malice because we're dealing with public figures. It's a very high burden. That means they have to prove that at the time she made the statements, she knew they were false or a reckless disregard of the truth. Megyn, as we sit here today, she still believes that they sabotaged her. They have no case.
Well, she doesn't, though, Andel, because it wasn't Mariah who said that. It was her rep who apparently said something off the record to somebody, and it may or may not have been that they set her up intentionally, but, you know, that they didn't set her up to succeed in any event. Your thoughts?
Setting her up to fail is very strong words. Could they artists when they're
but
down?
They're using
this
a strong word.
Company,
defamatory is strong. I mean, I was surprised to see that in the Dick Clark statement.
Setting someone up to fail is very strong as well. I think we all saw Mariah Carey's performance break down and keep steadily breaking on down in front of our eyes on New Year's Eve. Her team, they're doing damage control and they're trying to pass the buck. Nobody's buying it. Dick Clark's and his company's reputation is intact, and that's the problem they're going to have. So here's
the question: Can she sue them? Can she sue them, Mark Eiglarsh, for saying you did set me up to fail? You caused a public embarrassment. But then there is the question of why the backup singers could hear the music and Mariah could not.
Yeah, listen, anyone could sue anyone for anything. We've learned that. My analysis is the same if we flip it and we make her the plaintiff. She's a public figure. They're public figures.
But she wouldn't be suing for defamation.
It's not going to go anywhere.
They publicly
Megyn,
humiliated her.
Megyn, hold on. There's something wrong with my earpiece. I can't hear. Perhaps, Megyn, we should let the audience finish this analysis.
I love it when he brings the props. You know, I will say this, Andel. I have anchored in Times Square on New Year's Eve, with Hemmer in the wee hours of the night, and it's really loud. And I too have had choppy audio. I can relate to her.
These things happen. She's a great artist. She's had a great career. She just had a bad night, and I'm sure she'd give her all to have that performance back.
I think it would have been more embarrassing if she had been caught lip-syncing, but she wasn't. She was trying to sing it live. It was clearly, just parts were on the track. But the reason there were long bouts of silence is because she couldn't hear. But I think it's worse when they get caught lip-syncing. That's what I thought happened. not
I
exactly
agree,
right.
Megan. Here's the problem. There's no damages here on either side. They're all going to watch the show next year,
That's
and she's
true.
going to
But
continue to have a very
they shouldn't
successful
use
career.
the scary legal words because you wind up in Kelly's court.
Agreed.
Bye.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Don't go away. Finally tonight, a personal and professional note from me to you. After more than a dozen years at Fox News, I have decided to pursue a new challenge. This was a tough decision for me because I love this show, our staff, my crew, my colleagues here at Fox, and you, all of you, those who write me the lovely handwritten notes asking about my kids, and even those who very rarely complain on Twitter about our coverage after a show or a presidential debate. Now, I don't actually know most of you, so perhaps it's not true love, but it's the kind of feeling that makes one feel connected to another human being. And that, after all, is why I believe we're here, human connection. The truth is, I need more of that in my life, in particular when it comes to my children, who are 7, 5, and 3. So I'll be leaving Fox News at the week's end and starting a new adventure, joining the journalists at NBC News, who I deeply admire. I'll be anchoring a daytime show there, along with a Sunday night news magazine. And you'll see me there on the big nights, too, for politics and such. I am very grateful to NBC for this opportunity, and I am deeply thankful to Fox News for the wonderful 12 years I have had here. I have grown up here and been given every chance a young reporter could ever ask for. The Murdoch family has been kind and good to me at every turn, and my colleagues are like a second family to me. So I will miss them and this show and you. And I hope our human connection continues, albeit over a different line. Thank you for watching. With love.
And Happy New Year, happy 2017, and welcome to Hannity. Tonight we have a short opening monologue. Now, Democrats, they continue to make the claim that the Russian government is directly tied to the 2016 election hacking. And with weeks to go before he leaves office, well, President Obama announced sanctions against Russia, and also the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. They released a coinciding report supposedly containing evidence that the Russian government coordinated all these cyber attacks. But that report gives very few details and a massive, big disclaimer. Now, Democrats are also pointing a finger at the group WikiLeaks, claiming that Russian hackers provided them with thousands of emails from the DNC and from Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta. Now, these emails contained explosive details exposing corruption, media collusion with the Clinton campaign, and downright dirty politics all the way around. So in light of all these new developments, well, I decided to go straight to the source over this ongoing controversy. So yesterday, I traveled to London to sit down with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange in an attempt to set the record straight. Now, he rarely does these exclusive long-form interviews, given the nature of his current situation. Now, for 4.5 years, he has been confined at the Ecuadorian embassy, where he's not seen the light of day in all that time. So Assange, of course, he founded the group WikiLeaks. That was back in 2006. And in the years following, he made international headlines after releasing hundreds of thousands of classified U.S. government documents. And in 2010, he was detained in England after Swedish officials issued an arrest warrant over allegations that he may have sexually assaulted 2 women. That is a charge which he will respond to later in this program tonight in this interview. Now, in 2012, he was granted asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in the city of London. Now, he has been living there ever since in very, very confined, tiny quarters. So in this wide-ranging interview, which we will show for the entire hour tonight, Assange told me what drives him to expose government and media corruption. Take a look. Let me start with the American elections. And from your perspective, how big a role do you feel WikiLeaks had in the outcome of the election? You didn't think Donald Trump was going to win.
I didn't think Donald Trump would win. I thought the establishment, for want of a better word, would see Hillary Clinton losing, and then would pile in more money and more energy, and various TV networks are on her side, and make sure that she won. I think that analysis was still correct, but it missed something fundamental, which is that the amount of investment to the Hillary Clinton campaign was in proportion to the degree that the establishment thought that she would lose. And she was aggressively projecting that she would be the inevitable winner, and was above, 5-10 points in the opinion polling. So she only got $1.5 billion directed into her campaign. If they thought she was going to lose, maybe she would have gotten $5 billion. We'd see a different result.
It's very interesting post-election, and it didn't even really happen immediately, but the narrative has begun that, in fact, the U.S. government is accusing WikiLeaks of having received materials from Russia and Russia's cyber criminals with the political agenda of influencing the election. And obviously they're talking not just about the John Podesta emails, the DNC emails, but in other ways. I've asked you before, I'll ask you again today. Did Russia give you this information, or anybody associated with Russia?
Our source is not a state party. So the answer for our interactions is no. But if we look at the most recent statement by the US government, which is on the 29th of December, okay, we had 5 different branches of government, Treasury, DHS, FBI, White House, presenting their accusations to underpin Obama's throwing out 35 Russian diplomats. What was missing from all of those statements? The word WikiLeaks. It's very strange. Now, my interpretation is that there's either, not surprisingly, a problem they feel with the evidence as far as WikiLeaks is concerned. Well, James Clapper said, we don't know how WikiLeaks got this information, we don't know when WikiLeaks got this information. But let's imagine that they are saying, okay, the problem here is that WikiLeaks published information. What are they saying? WikiLeaks published true information that the American public read. That information was the words of Hillary Clinton and her campaign manager, John Podesta, and other people in her campaign. And the American public read that information, true information, and said, we don't like these people. And then voted accordingly. But that's not sustainable. So what they want to do instead is conflate our publication of true information with, say, hacking, or rather alleged hacking, of US vote counting machines. And even Obama has had to admit that there has been no hacking of US vote counting machines.
No evidence of that. So, but the main focus for most Americans, they are being told by Hillary Clinton's campaign, by the President of the United States, there are the Department of Homeland Security, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, etc., that in fact WikiLeaks was working with the Russian government to influence the election. Is that true in any way, shape, matter, or form?
No, that's absolutely false. And if you read their statements carefully, you'll see they don't actually say that. They kind of mention one fact here and one fact there and nothing else. In the most up-to-date information, on the 29th of December, where the FBI, DHS, White House, etc. made a statement, what is completely absent from all those statements is WikiLeaks. Totally absent. So what's going on? Well, I believe 2 things are going on. Number one, they don't have the evidence that WikiLeaks is involved in that way. Now, why am I confident about that? Well, because there is one person in the world, and I think it's actually only one, who knows exactly what is going on with our publications, and that's me.
Can you say to the American people, unequivocally, that you did not get this information about the DNC, John Podesta's emails? Can you tell the American people 1,000% you did not get it from Russia or
Yes.
anybody associated with Russia?
We can say, we have said repeatedly over the last 2 months that our source is not the Russian government and it is not a state party.
There was one report in the Daily Mail that suggested somebody that you are friendly with actually was handed the documents at American University in a wooded area by a disgruntled Democrat who felt betrayed because the revelations showed that Bernie Sanders had been betrayed, and they didn't like the corruption of the Clinton Foundation. Can you confirm or deny that? Is that story true?
Well, that statement came from Craig Murray. He
friend of yours?
Friend of mine. He's been here several times. But WikiLeaks is a source protection organization. We are famous for never having exposed one of our sources over 10 years. That's why sources trust us and they come to us. So I can't comment on other people's statements about our sources, except to say what we have said, which is that our sources are not a state party.
Can I ask you this? Have you ever talked to Vladimir Putin?
No.
Have you ever talked to any of his surrogates?
No.
Have you ever talked to Donald Trump?
No.
Any of his surrogates?
No.
Not one?
No.
There was some report that you might have talked to somebody who was not associated with the campaign, Roger Stone.
No, that's false. I think where this Roger Stone claim is coming from is there's a radio guy on WBAI, which is a mutual friend, who wanted to come and see me to see if I would set up a radio show on WBAI, but he didn't. He did come to London, but he didn't meet with me.
So if the U.S. government is accusing WikiLeaks of having received these materials from Russia, and you say it's false, it did not come from Russia, and the President of the United States is advancing the narrative, is the President of the United States lying to the American people?
Well, he's acting like a lawyer. If you look at most of his statements, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say WikiLeaks obtained its information from Russia, worked with Russia.
He's saying Russia's trying to influence the U.S. elections.
Yes. So and you also note that he doesn't say, from the statements that I've read, he doesn't say that Russia was trying to influence the election for Donald Trump. Obama doesn't say that. So you have to be very careful about the lawyerly language that is used to try and conflate different things together. The question is WikiLeaks publications. Okay, true information that the American people took up and they acted accordingly. Was it influential? Did it have a lot of influence? Statistically, yes, it's was the #1 topic on Facebook throughout October. It's the #1 topic on Twitter, political topic, also throughout October. Did it change the outcome? Who knows? It's absolutely impossible to tell. If it did, the accusation is that the true statements of Hillary Clinton and her campaign manager, John Podesta, and the DNC head, Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, their true statements is what changed the election.
How do you view yourself? Are you a journalist? Do you view this as reporting? That, for example, it's interesting because at one point in the campaign, the New York Times got a hold of Donald Trump's taxes, which, by the way, they obtained illegally, and they published the information. Is there any difference between, you are not going to reveal your source, but nobody has said what you released is not true. They went forward with the story on his taxes. Is there any difference?
There is a difference, which is our material is better presented, less intermediation. The public responded to it more than the New York Times. But the editor of the New York Times, he has come out and said that he would do the same thing as WikiLeaks. If they had obtained that information, they would publish it. Now, unfortunately, I don't believe that is true. I believe they would selectively maybe publish just a bit here and a bit there. They would not have done what we did, which is present the American public everything that we knew. Can you just imagine that if WikiLeaks had information about Debbie Wasserman-Schultz helping to rig the primary with Bernie Sanders, and we withheld that information until after the election? That would be an absolutely unconscionable act for a media organization to engage in. Unfortunately, those sorts of acts do happen, but not with this organization.
You know, in 2015, the Chinese stole millions of personal documents, classified, information on individuals who were seeing it and working for our government, et cetera. So if they don't say anything about China and they selectively choose this, is it to delegitimize Donald Trump? What's your interpretation of that?
It's exactly what it's designed to do. If you look at what the allegations are, they don't mention WikiLeaks for the 29th. They don't mention our publications. Our publications had wide uptake by the American people. They are all true. But that's not the allegation that is being presented by the Obama White House. So why such a dramatic response? Well, the reason is obvious. They're trying to delegitimize the Trump administration as it goes into the White House. They are trying to say that President-elect Trump is not a legitimate
legitimately elected president.
Not a legitimately elected.
If your information...
You watch. They will... seize on this and harp on it for the next 4 years, I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake, not just in fact, that's a mistake for the US Democratic Party. I think it's a stupid maneuver. It's the same reason why they lost the election, which is instead of focusing on substance, they focus on other things which they think are short-term wins, but are not strategic. A little comment by Trump here and there, for example, or this attempt to say that how outrageous it is that the American public receive true information before an election. That the public doesn't buy that. They want as much true information as possible.
If the information you had was about Donald Trump and his campaign, would you have equally released that?
Yes, absolutely. It would be, once again, just think about it from our perspective. We've won a lot of media awards. We have the trust of our sources. We have the trust of our readers, having never got it wrong.
Well, this is an important point. 10 years, not one evidence where you've been proven wrong.
Well, not even one sustained allegation, even. We have a perfect record in relation to authenticating the material that we publish. That's a very valuable reputation to have, and we try and preserve it. So what else do we have a record for? There's no sources coming out through other journalists, say, for example, they can still keep their anonymity. There's no sources coming out and saying, we gave WikiLeaks all this information about Donald Trump or President Xi or Vladimir Putin, and you know what? They didn't publish it.
I know you.
No one has come out and said that. If they did, that would hurt our reputation for trust for our sources.
I know you want to protect your sources, and when you first told me on my radio show that it was not Russia, you said so reluctantly. Can I ask, take it one step further? Can you say that the source was within the United States?
I don't want to constrain whether it was someone inside the United States, in the DNC, in the service providers that provide for the DNC, or outside, etc. I think we have already pushed it quite a lot.
More than you would like.
More than we would like, by saying it's not a state party. That was necessary to do because there was a serious attempt to distract from the content of our publications with this Russian narrative. Now, our sources are interested in two things. They're interested in protecting their identity, but also not going through all that effort and risk to themselves only to have the publication undermined.
Then what do you make of the President of the United States, and Donald Trump may, in the next 24 to 48 hours, contradict with whatever information he's teasing that he does have, but he made a decision to expel 35 Russian diplomats in 2 sites, impose 12 sanctions against the Russian government, and the Russian President Putin responded by inviting children to a Christmas party and said he will wait to deal with the new president. Why would the president, you're saying that Russia did not give you this information. He is very closely suggesting that, in fact, they did. And he's wrong. So my question is, does he know he's wrong? And from your perspective, he has to know.
He's playing games.
He's playing games.
He's playing games.
He's dishonest. Fair? Is he lying to the American people?
He's acting like a lawyer instead of being honest. So he's playing games by trying to suggest that Russia, quote, hacked the election, unquote. Pretending that what's going on here is Russia hacking voting machines, for which there is no evidence, then suggesting without saying that our information was part of a plot to get Donald Trump elected. Once again, from our side, which we understand there's no evidence, but even James Clapper and so on coming out and saying, we don't know how WikiLeaks, we don't know when or how WikiLeaks got this information. So it's a construction to try and erect the topic that Donald Trump is illegitimately elected.
More of my exclusive sit-down interview with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange up next. I'll ask him about the FBI and the DHS report on election hacking. That and more straight ahead tonight on Hannity.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Jackie Ibanez. People across the South will be busy for the next few days picking up debris from a series of killer storms. At least 6 deaths are reported so far. The hardest hit regions are in Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. Officials there tell us the violent storms, accompanied by tornado-like winds and rain, were about a mile wide. As many as 1,000 homes are damaged. Toppled trees have triggered massive power outages, and there's widespread flooding tonight. And the search continues for the gunman who killed 39 people at an Istanbul nightclub on New Year's. He is yet to be identified, but Turkish authorities have released a 44-second video clip of the suspect. You can see it right there. It shows him recording a selfie near one of Istanbul's landmarks. Police have also rounded up a number of other suspects who may know or help the gunman. The Islamic State is claiming responsibility. I'm Jackie Ibanez. Now, back to Hannity.
And welcome back to Hannity. So during my exclusive sit-down interview with Julian Assange at the Ecuadorian Embassy in London, I asked him specifically about the FBI and DHS report on 2016 and the election hacking. Let's take a look. The FBI, Department of Homeland Security, this goes to the 29th of December this past year, released a joint report detailing how federal investigations and investigators to the hacks of the Democratic Party organization. And they gave a 13-page memo. I'm sure you've read it.
I have read it in detail.
At this point. Okay. Supposedly they give technical details regarding tools and some of the infrastructure of the Russian civilian and military intelligence, but they don't give any proof positive.
They give the five-page description of some of the tools that they allege that the Russian state uses. The rest is just fairly boring security recommendations. On the top, there is a disclaimer saying nothing.
I was going to ask you about that.
Guarantee that any of this information is accurate.
Right. It's a guess.
So if you, it's just you'll look in the. I used to be a computer security expert. That was my job. This is a bad report, and you look in the rest of the computer security community, you'll see dozens of other computer security experts in the United States, absolutely not affiliated with Russia.
Isn't it contradicted, though, by our own Director of Intelligence, National Intelligence?
James Clapper.
That's James Clapper.
There's nothing in that report that says that any information was given to us. Nothing. What they have is what they call indicators. So like a way to recognize if these tools, these alleged Russian tools, have been used on your system. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in response to that, some engineer at one of the US electricity companies found this signature on one of their laptops. Okay, so then this was analyzed by a wide range of US computer security experts. I've read those reports in detail. And it's discovered this is a commercially available tool produced by Ukraine. So it's straight out of the bat, we either have a deliberate attempt to mislead or thoroughly incompetent work, straight out of the bat. So that story about the laptop at the power generation center, that was picked up by the Washington Post and the administration, pushed everywhere, that here's the Russians infiltrating the electricity grid, and it was completely bogus.
That was bogus. But there's another side of this which is, I think, pretty fascinating, and that is that Hillary Rodham Clinton had a private server at a mom and pop shop in a bathroom closet that I would argue, and other lawyers would make arguments that it was illegal for her to have. From what we understand, the Podesta emails were hacked through a phishing scheme where it said, click on this, give us your information, and he did so. So we made it.
Well, there's a number of hacks of the DNC and Podesta based on the publicly available information. This is not something coming from our sources. We published, as part of our policy of full disclosure, not interfering with the material, we published the several Podesta emails, which shows Podesta responding to a phishing email. Now, how did they respond? Podesta gave out that his password was the word password. His own staff said, this email that you've received, this is totally legitimate. So this is something a 14-year-old kid could have hacked
based on
Podesta that way. In relation to computer security and Hillary Clinton's security, those Secretary of State emails, if you read closely FBI reports and the emails that we released related to Hillary Clinton, you'll see Aberdeen had access to them. A variety of technicians at this very small IT company had access to them. They were shipped through the post in a laptop. She had over a dozen different devices keyed in to have access to them, her iPad, etc. She made almost no attempt to keep them secure from states. Now, was she trying to keep them secure from the Republicans? Well, probably. But in terms of foreign states, almost no attempt.
The reason we have these laws, though, are for transparency, and she wanted to avoid congressional oversight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's absolutely my interpretation as well. Now, WikiLeaks has been a very strong proponent of the Freedom of Information Act. This is probably actually, if you think about it, probably against our interests as a publisher. But we believe that people have the right to know true information about what the government is doing. Now, the Freedom of Information Act has been subverted. We published Sarah Palin's emails. Why? Because she had, when she was governor of Alaska, she maintained an account that was being used, intentionally or not, to evade the Alaskan Freedom of Information Act. So we published them back in 2008.
And coming up, WikiLeaks exposed how the mainstream media was colluding with the Clinton campaign during the 2016 election. I'll ask Julian Assange about that next. That and more tonight on Hannity. And welcome back to Hannity. So during my exclusive interview with Julian Assange, we discussed how WikiLeaks exposed the rampant collusion between the mainstream media here in America and the Clinton campaign. Let's take a look. I said in my country, Julian, that journalism is dead. I said it in 2008 because I was investigating Barack Obama and his backgrounds and his associations and his career and his lack of knowledge and his radical belief system. And everybody in the media ignored a lot of it. So my question to you then is, now knowing what WikiLeaks revealed about the Podesta emails, on Clinton corruption, on pay-to-play, on Bernie Sanders being cheated, all of this is revealed. Not a lot of it was covered. So what does that say to the American people about media coverage in America? Dishonest?
It's very dishonest. Corrupt is interesting. It depends on your definition. If you look at what we published in the Podesta emails,
if they're colluding with Hillary, that's not corrupt.
It's ethical corruption.
They're not identifying it to their audiences. They claim that they're objective journalists.
It's ethically corrupt. Corrupt by corruption also means something in law, which is that you're taking money in exchange.
Okay.
So I don't think that
collusion.
They're colluding, yeah.
Okay, because they share her political agenda. Well, why else would they collude? Or they hate Donald Trump?
I think that's an optimistic interpretation, that they share the political agenda.
Well, explain that.
It's more like, you rub my back, I'll rub yours. I'll give you, I'll give you information. You'll come to my, I'll invite you to my child's christening or our next big party, or do you know what I mean? We go to school
or a state dinner.
Yeah. So I think it's more, sadly, I think it's along those lines.
But I look at this list of what WikiLeaks exposed for...
Can I just go back to this media question? What is the line now in the New York Times, MSNBC? Okay. The line is that WikiLeaks changed the result of the election. Okay. And as editor of WikiLeaks, we're quite happy to have the credit for exposing the corruption and behavior that was occurring in that Clinton team, and the DNC fixing things in relation to Bernie Sanders. We're quite happy to accept that.
Was that your motivation? Was your motivation to influence the election, or is your motivation, what is your motivation? Is it fidelity to truth?
My motivation for maybe 20 years, but 10 years with WikiLeaks, has been to publish true information that is otherwise unsayable. So we're not in competition, if you like.
You have no political agenda.
That is a political agenda. We have
expose the government corruption?
It's not a party political agenda. It's a philosophical agenda. We believe that the best type of government comes from a government that is scrutinized by the people when they have true information about how government and major corporations, other power actors in society actually behave.
Let me ask this. As a conservative, one of the things that shocked me about the revelations with WikiLeaks in this election cycle, it drove me crazy for years. The narrative that would be used by the Democrats about conservatives like myself as Republicans are racist, that they're sexist, that they're homophobic, that they're misogynistic, Islamophobic, xenophobic, all those lines are used. And what was fascinating, and not many people wanted to pay attention to it, and I think that's because of the media collusion, is they were exposed as using racial language, being anti-Semitic, homophobic, which led to, on the eve of the Democratic convention, Debbie Wasserman Schultz being fired. That, to me, was the type of thing that you sort of like open a window and things are not often the way they appear. Is this now a new reality going forward in terms of, if the media is not going to do their job, there are going to be more WikiLeaks in the future?
Well, I certainly hope so.
And coming up, over the years, Julian Assange has released classified documents generating major controversy. We'll explore that and much more right here tonight on Hannity. And welcome back to Hannity. So in 2006, Julian Assange founded the group WikiLeaks, and in the years following, he created international controversy and outrage for releasing hundreds of thousands of classified U.S. government documents. Now, many, including myself at the time, had criticized him for doing this, and during our sit-down interview, I asked Assange where WikiLeaks draws the line. Take a look. And I've told you this before, when you first came on the scene in 2010, I was concerned you were waging war against the U.S. I have a comment that I made back in November of 2010, and I said, you know, that other people might be, this classified information, releasing classified information, my concern, and classified documents could put American lives at risk. That was my concern. So this is what, in the meantime, what you released at that time, the standard operating procedures for Camp Delta, the U.S. Army detention camp at Gitmo. You released a classified video of a series of attacks in Baghdad by a U.S. helicopter that, by the way, killed 12 people and 2 journalists. You also released the Afghanistan war logs. You released the Iraqi war logs. You released U.S. diplomatic cables in November of 2010, the Guantanamo files. You released more U.S. diplomatic cables, released the Syria files leading up to this. Here's my question about this, because I've come to believe that you've done 2 things that have been extraordinarily helpful to the United States, and I think journalism in a way. One is you showed us that we do not have cybersecurity. You acknowledge that. And 2, I think in this election in particular, you exposed a level of corruption that I, for 30 years on the radio as a conservative, knew existed, and I was shocked at the level of corruption, duplicity, dishonesty, manipulation. So there's a lot of good here. Where's a line for you? In other words, if lives are in jeopardy, is that a line? Privacy for individuals, is that a line? If you were to be handed information about a private citizen, a Hollywood actor,
well, let's look at the practice. As editor of WikiLeaks, I'm very proud of 3 things. Number 1, we've never got it wrong in terms of what we say a document is, it is.
What you have printed, what you have revealed has never been
been shown to be
years.
fake, and not even is there any outstanding allegations that it is. Okay. Number 2, we have never revealed one of our sources ever. So that's a.
Today you can reveal the source of the Podesta emails. That would make a lot of news.
Yeah, and that would be the end of WikiLeaks.
Exactly.
So,
but you did say it's not Russia. And you don't like to say that.
We have, in the past, occasionally on particular issues where we think that, you know, there's a distraction from the publications that's so severe that we have to kind of distance ourselves from it and prevent a vacuum, basically, being filled by any old rubbish. Okay, so that. Number 3, what are we proud of? We are proud that there's not a single instance of anyone coming to physical harm as a result of our publication.
Let me ask you, have you made conscious decisions as the founder and editor to withhold information because you thought the release of such information would result in somebody's death? In other words, methods.
Where we thought there was a significant risk.
You're very conscious of that.
Yeah.
And that's an ethical standard for you.
Yes, and so, but we're always transparent about it, okay?
You'll say that you're not
We say, we're withholding this piece of information for a limited time until such time as we think that there's not a significant risk that someone might face retribution. We're totally transparent about it. So unlike other media organizations, you just see huge reductions with no explanation as to why that information has been redacted or been withheld. And I can tell you that I know from practice, having dealt with more than 110 different media organizations in collaborative partnerships, that very often information is withheld for political reasons, and it is then passed off that it is being withheld in order to protect individuals. So redactions are deeply corrupting. And we are fighting to set a new standard.
You're describing the New York Times. You're describing ABC, NBC, CBS, Politico. You're describing the mainstream media in America. And WikiLeaks has shown this.
We had similar problems with The Guardian, Le Monde, El País. Now, there were also fine journalists who did good work. So it's not everyone, but there were critical cases where information that we shared in a partnership agreement under the basis that would only be redacted for human rights reasons, protecting someone's life, was redacted to protect oil companies working in Kazakhstan, or Yulia Tymoshenko, the former leader who's accused of all sorts of murders in Ukraine. So here's the basic problem with censorship. Once again, it creates an opaque system where people can't see what were the reasons for the censorship. In the justice system, we say there must be open justice for there to be justice. The judge, while trying, must themselves be tried before the public.
Is it fair to say
it doesn't happen when a media organization is engaged in just sweeping things under the rug?
Is it fair to say that WikiLeaks is more interested in government corruption that's impacting the lives of people, not superfluous, scandalous lives of big stars?
Yeah, well, we don't publish.
You don't publish.
We don't publish it.
All right,
let me ask this. We haven't actually been. I'm not sure we've ever been put in the position where we've had to make that determination.
Because that's not what you do.
Those people goes to TMZ, for example.
And coming up, Julian Assange has not stepped outside the Ecuadorian embassy in London since 2012. Up next, I'll ask him about the controversial details of his confinement and much more. Straight ahead. Welcome back to Hannity. So back in 2010, Swedish authorities, they issued an arrest warrant for Julian Assange based on 2 separate sexual assault allegations, which ultimately led to Assange seeking asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. I asked Assange about these allegations and more. Take a look.
Let's put this in context. The US case started first in 2010. Okay. The situation where we are today.
These were 2 Swedish women.
The women did not make the allegations. So the state made the allegations. It's agreed in the courts here, all the way up to the Supreme Court, that it's the state of Sweden that brought the case, not the women trying to file charges. There are no charges.
Why would the state do that and not, if the women aren't making the charges and the U.S. case dismissed? You must be confronted by your accuser. Not the case here?
No.
They don't want to.
So they admit in their own filing that the woman said that she was railroaded by the police and others. In the court's material, that the police made up the accusation, and I've already been previously cleared by the chief prosecutor of Stockholm. There are no charges, and twice this year the UN, reviewing the whole situation, has said that I'm illegally detained and I should be immediately released and compensated. Now, as far as the US is concerned, it's a very, very important topic. Okay. The case in the US continues. The Department of Justice continues the whole case.
Even though they said they concluded they will not bring charges?
They didn't. You see, this is the sneaky behavior of this administration. So what they, as we were complaining, look, the Obama administration is maintaining this massive case against us. It's refusing to release any documents about it to us or any other journalists, erecting a giant dam for all the material involved in the case, saying the reason that no journalist can have access to this is because we are bringing a pending prosecution. This is the end of national security journalism. This is the end of investigative journalism if journalists can't say, hey, we heard a rumor that there was some journalists killed in a drone strike. Do you know anything about that? And maybe your source says, yeah, actually I heard about that as well. And then you go, can you prove it?
But America, if you go back to Woodward and Bernstein, and you go back to Watergate, okay, they had a source. It was called Deep Throat. Big source. It wasn't revealed until the person died.
Under the Obama administration, Deep Throat, that Woodward and Bernstein would have been prosecuted. I have been detained illegally without charge for 6 years in prison, under house arrest, 4.5 years in this embassy, without sunlight, lots of spies everywhere, etc. It's tough. It's tough, but that's the mission that I set myself on. So I'm willing to accept that. I understand the kind of game that's being played with, you know, big powerful actors. They try and take revenge. Okay. It's a different thing for my family. Well, I have young children under 10 years old. They didn't sign up for that. Okay. I'm the type of father that they have. But they didn't sign up for that. And that's not something I like. And I think that is fundamentally unjust outcome for my children. It's not a good precedent for other people to have as well. But that would be my one concern. I know what I'm doing. I'm prepared to have wear the consequences of the conflict and dealing with powerful groups and individuals. But my family is innocent in that equation. You know? They didn't sign up for that fight.
And coming up, we'll have more Hannity, and your help is needed right after this break. All right, time for our question of the day. So now that you've heard from Julian Assange, who do you believe? Do you believe Julian, or do you believe President Obama and Hillary Clinton? We want to hear from you. Go to Facebook.com/Sean Hannity, @Sean Hannity on Twitter. Let us know what you think. And in 17 days, the long Obama nightmare is over. We'll see you back here tomorrow night. Thanks for being with us.
The O'Reilly Factor's on tonight.
That was Ricky Martin performing at the 2001 inauguration of President Bush the Younger. But this year, many performers are afraid to attend the Trump inauguration. We'll tell you exactly what's going on.
In the phrase, "Make America Great Again," there's one word that if you are a person of color that you sort of stumble over, and it's the word again.
New Year, same old story. The far left branding Donald Trump and his supporters racist. Will this ever stop?
What was the biggest mistake you made in 2016?
Following other people's opinions.
Like when everyone said Hillary was going to win?
That was a big one.
Also ahead, Waters in Times Square asking people about the new year.
It's going to be a beautiful year filled with love and acceptance. I'm sure of it.
Did you read that on a Hallmark card?
Caution, you are about to enter the no spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. First edition of 2017. Happy New Year. Hope it's a good one for you and your family. Donald Trump's inauguration. That's the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. There are wide reports that many entertainers are frightened to perform in the inaugural festivities on January 20th. Hard to pin down, but the roster of performers today is scant. Some of the Rockettes from Radio City Music Hall in New York City will be there. The Mormon Tabernacle Choir out of Utah scheduled to perform. And Jackie Ivanko of America's Got Talent also set to sing. We hear the Beach Boys and the country group Alabama may be appearing, but that has not been confirmed. Also not confirmed are some entertainers who reportedly believe if they show up at the inauguration, it'll hurt their careers. The tenor Andrea Bocelli has been mentioned, along with Garth Brooks, I should say. But again, we cannot confirm the fear element. However, it's obvious there's a problem, and there should not be one. The inauguration of a president celebrates a peaceful transition of power engineered by the American voters. That's what the ceremony is, not a political gesture. So all Americans should respect the process, even if you don't like the incoming president. Should never be intimidation about attending or performing at an inauguration. That is un-American. The election of George W. Bush in 2000 was perhaps the most controversial vote in the nation's history, decided by the Supreme Court. Yet a variety of entertainment showed up at the inauguration, including Ricky Martin, Wayne Newton, Jessica Simpson, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and the Rockettes. Even Beyonce showed up, performing with Destiny's Child at an inaugural concert for America's youth. So even though there was bitterness over the Bush-Gore race, the nation came together at the inauguration. But now that cohesive spirit seems to have changed. The harsh truth is that there is reverse McCarthyism going on in the entertainment industry. Remember that in the 1950s, Wisconsin Senator Joseph McCarthy started accusing people in Hollywood of being communists. That led to a blacklist where people were not hired because McCarthy smeared them. Today, it seems anti-Trump zealots may be doing the same thing. If you're a Trump supporter, you're a bad person. And a number of entertainers believe their careers will be harmed should they associate with the new Trump administration. Again, that is terrible, an awful state of affairs. Talking Points believes enough is enough with the anti-Trump movement. Man won the election, give him a chance. Respect the process and stop the nonsense. And that's a memo. Now to the top story tonight. Reaction joining us from Washington, the New Year's guy, Charles Krauthammer. All right, I have a series of very short questions for you. First of all, do you believe that some, maybe many, entertainers are frightened to go to Washington because they think their careers may be harmed?
I have no idea. And thus far, you've presented no evidence to that effect.
Well, thus far, there are very few booked, and we know that a number of people were asked to appear. But very few have said yes.
That doesn't prove fear. Hollywood is overwhelmingly more than 100% liberal, and it could very well be that these people, for their own political reasons, don't want to perform at a Republican or a Trump inauguration.
Then why did the George W. Bush inauguration have, you know, a good cross-section of entertainers and not the Donald Trump so far?
Wayne Newton? Is that your A-list?
Ricky Martin? Andrew Lloyd Webber? I mean, pretty big names.
You know, I find it hard to get exercised over the fact that we may be short a Rockette at the inaugural celebration.
You're dodging the question. You don't believe that there's pressure being put upon entertainers not to show up? You don't believe that?
There's a group called Friends of Abe. You know them, I know them. It's a bunch of Hollywood conservatives who meet every once in a while, semi-clandestinely. They won't even publish their membership list because they know that if the word gets out that they are conservatives, it could hurt their careers. That's been true for decades.
Isn't that reverse McCarthyism?
It's deplorable, but it's nothing new. And in fact, it's not only in Hollywood. Why do you have all these conservative think tanks in Washington? The reason is that intellectuals, conservative intellectuals, have not been able to get jobs in elite universities for decades. So they had to establish their own counter institutions, things like the American Enterprise Institute, Heritage Foundation, etc., as an alternative venue. Okay. Liberals get control of cultural institutions, and conservatives are shut out.
I think it's far beyond that.
That
I think
is
it's
like
far
the
beyond a
sun
general
rising.
philosophical
That's the sun
difference.
rising in the east.
Okay. You basically have, do you agree with me that an inauguration is a celebration of the peaceful transition of power in the United States? Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Do you agree that anyone who would hold it against someone who performed at an inauguration is un-American? That's an un-American act. Would you agree?
No, of course not.
You wouldn't?
Look, no, look.
So it's okay to deny somebody a job in Charles Krauthammer's world if they show up at the Trump inauguration. That's okay. To deny somebody a job.
No.
But that's the fear. That's the cloak of fear that we're dealing with now.
But you've shown no evidence.
Oh, stop.
That's
the evidence is there's nobody booked. That's the evidence. There's nobody booked 2 weeks away.
They don't want to play for Donald Trump. This is a republic. You are not summoned to perform for the king or for the dictator. In some places, if Kim Jong-un calls you to sing, you better show up, because otherwise you're not going to make it.
You don't know anything
morning.
about the Hollywood industry. They'll perform for Joseph Stalin, okay, if they think it's going to help their career, okay? They're afraid. These groups, rock groups, pop groups, even the country people, are afraid that if they do it, that they're going to lose bookings, that they're going to be attacked on the internet, they're going to be smeared all over the place, and so they're not. I can't believe you're denying this. It's so obvious.
I find it extremely hard to get exercised about something, which is that some people will perform for people of whom they have a political affinity. If I were asked to perform at a Clinton inauguration, I could very easily say, yes, I respect the process, and I will do it. That's perfectly fine. Or I could say, no, I think she's a crook. I think she would not be the right choice, and therefore I exercise my right to simply say no.
And that's fine, but you're not in fear of losing your job or a book contract or speaking engagement. See, I don't mind people exercising the freedom to do what they want to do. I'm telling you that there is very rank fear in the entertainment industry to be associated with President-elect Trump. Last word.
There's been rank fear in Hollywood for decades to be even known as a conservative. You're about 20 years late to the party, Bill. And I don't think the inauguration is sort of this scandalous exception. This has been true forever. There are many places where liberals will not welcome conservatives. Hollywood, the university, those are just a couple of examples. And you live with it the way you live with the weather.
Not me. I think the process should be respected, and anyone invited should show up just to help their country. Anyway, great debate. Really good way to kick off the new year, Charles, and we appreciate it. Next on the rundown already, the Democrats are threatening to delay confirmation of some Trump cabinet appointees. We'll tell you about it. And later, waters in Times Square New Year's Eve, not a good recipe. Those reports after these messages. In back segment tonight, two big political stories today. First, Donald Trump continues putting pressure on companies who want to move jobs overseas. In fact, he threatened General Motors for making a car in Mexico. Also, Ford announced it is canceling a $1.6 billion factory it was going to build in Mexico. The other big story politically is Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer threatening President-elect Trump.
We will hold President-elect Trump accountable to the values that truly make America great. But we'll fight him tooth and nail when he appeals to the baser instincts that diminish America and its greatness.
Joining us now from Austin, Texas, Carl Rove. So Senator Schumer wants to hold up, delay a bunch of Trump's cabinet appointees. Is that correct?
Yeah, this was pretty much a boilerplate speech today where he said we're going to define what the values are by which we're going to judge Donald Trump. If we agree with him, we'll help him. If we oppose him and we disagree, we'll oppose him. This was sort of standard stuff. What's more dangerous is that the Democrats have announced that there are 8 appointees, 8 nominees of President-elect Trump to the cabinet that they're going to oppose and delay them as long as till March. Now, this is just obstructionism, pure and simple. This is an attempt to make it difficult for him to put together a government, make it difficult for him to take early actions in some critical departments, and it is an obstructionism that's jaw-dropping, particularly if you look back at the historic record. Here's what happened with President Obama came in. Did the Republicans obstruct? No. Did they ask tough questions? Yes. But think about this. within 2 days of being sworn into office, 7 of his cabinet members had been approved, 6 of them on voice votes. One of them was approved, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, 94-2. A couple of days later, they approved by voice vote on the 23rd, the Transportation Secretary. On the 26th, Tim Geithner, who had not paid his taxes and had to undergo a rough confirmation fight, he was approved on 60-34. Basically, within 1 week of the president being sworn in, HUD secretary, within 8 days. 10 of the 14 that had to go through confirmation were approved within basically 8 days of the president being sworn in. 2 more were approved in February. One of them was delayed until late February because Hilda Solis, the labor secretary, her husband had not paid taxes. And then we had 2 of them that were completely President Obama's fault. The Commerce Secretary in March, because he went through 2 cabinet secretary nominations that had to be withdrawn before he finally got the 3rd one. And then finally the HHS Secretary, Sebelius. Remember, Tom Daschle had to withdraw himself for not having paid taxes on the 3rd of February. She's nominated and approved in basically 5 weeks.
So, I mean, look, the point is that when President Obama took office, the Republicans didn't try to sabotage him.
Right.
It looks
Absolutely.
like Schumer and his crew is going to try to sabotage Trump. The question is, they can't stop these appointments like Sessions as Attorney General. So they just try to embarrass the president and the individual appointee. Just try to embarrass them, right?
Right, exactly, and draw it out so that, look, they don't want the White House to be coming out with a lot of initiatives and moving forward. They want them to, this is like a holding action. While Trump is trying to undo a lot of what Obama did and trying to repeal Obamacare and replace it and trying to get a tax cut through and tax reform, they want him tied down. That's why they're going after people like the Secretary of Treasury nominee, Mnuchin. That's why they're going after the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson. There are a couple that are payback. They're going after Betsy DeVos, the Education Secretary, because the Democratic Party is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the teacher unions, and she is a fighter for school choice. They're going after Puzder.
Right, so it's politics over country.
Politics.
Politics.
Absolutely.
Let's get into the. It looks like Trump's going to be the strong man, and he's calling out GM for making a car in Mexico and trying to embarrass them. But, all of a sudden Ford says, you know what, we're not going to build a $1.6 billion plant in Mexico, and we're going to build it in the USA and all the jobs that come along with it. So it looks like being a strong man is working for Trump. At least in the beginning.
Well, maybe, except that I accept that the Ford CEO today in his statement saying, look, we made this decision because it's in the best interest of our company. The facility in Mexico is unneeded. We're going to keep the small car production there, but we aren't selling enough of those cars, so we're not going to expand it. And we need to expand production in the U.S. of kinds of cars that Americans are buying.
Yeah.
But we got to be careful about this. GM, let's think about this. The implication is you're building a bunch of cars in Mexico and shipping them into the United States. That is fundamentally not true. In Lordstown, Ohio, there's a facility that since 2010, since being opened then, has made 1.3 million Chevy Cruzes. And in the United States, 1.1 million roughly have been bought. The other 200,000 were sold elsewhere, primarily in Canada. The facility in Mexico supplies the foreign market. We've had about 1.1 million U.S. purchases of Chevy Cruises.
So why?
There have been 1.3 million.
The foreign market can be supplied in Michigan. So what?
Well, maybe, but look, a couple of things. Mexico
I don't have
has
a lot
better
of
trade.
time. Wrap it up.
Mexico has better trade agreements with other countries than we do, and we can make that product in Mexico and sell it and bring the profits back to the U.S. when we couldn't make that product
doesn't
at
help
the same
the
price
guys
here.
that putting the tires on a car, Mr. Rowe. As long as the strongman stuff doesn't get out of control, I think it's a good technique.
I think it's getting very close to it.
All right, directly ahead. Will the far left ever stop demonizing Trump supporters as racist? And later, a new survey says more conservatives in America than liberals, but the gap is closing. Factors coming. Right back. Personal story segment tonight. Almost from the beginning of Donald Trump's campaign for the presidency, the far left has been demonizing him and his supporters as racist.
In the phrase "Make America Great Again," there's one word that if you are a person of color that you sort of stumble over, and it's the word again, because you're talking about going back to a time that was not very comfortable for people of color.
Joining us now from Washington, Lisa Booth and Juan Williams. So I don't think the racism play, Juan, is ever going to stop. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think you're right on target. I think, to me, it's almost like, why am I arguing here about Make America Great Again? This is small potatoes. It's like evidence of sort of liberal or left-wing oversensitivity to my mind. But, you know, if you want to make the case, I guess you could say Trump has a history, you know, discrimination in the housing that he built, saying blacks are responsible for most of the white murders and it's crazy stuff. But again, to me, it's just evidence of people who constantly bring up the race stuff rather than argue about his policy.
Look, what do you think, Juan, the phrase "Make America Great Again" refers to? What?
Well, I think, you know, what it struck me when I first heard it was "Make America Great Again." But I guess he's talking about Obama. So I was thinking about the politics of it, that he doesn't like Obama policies.
No.
But I
Make
heard
America Great Again.
Bill Clinton said it was a way of wink and a nod, a dog whistle to white Southerners.
So what do we care
Bill?
what Bill Clinton says? He's campaigning for his wife. What do you think "Make America Great Again" refers to, Lisa? What?
Well, I think it refers to what Reagan had said when he used the slogan of restoring the American dream, rebuilding
Lisa
America.
Booth, everyone.
But
it's the Reagan years.
But
it's when America was dominant in foreign policy, exercised its superpower status. That wasn't a racist era, Juan.
But I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this, though, because Juan had mentioned the fact that Bill Clinton was saying that the slogan was a racist dog whistle. Guess who used the slogan repeatedly when he ran for president in 1992? President Bill Clinton. So that is just how ridiculous the left is. The fact that President Bill Clinton is using this slogan to malign Donald Trump when he used it himself.
Okay,
and you're
but,
right.
I mean,
the
look,
left
if
is
we're going
never
to run
going to
down
stop.
all the hypocrisy.
Here's my argument with Lisa. I think, Lisa, you got to realize that when Bill Clinton said it, he didn't say again and again and again. And, you know, to me, America is great.
Oh, my gosh.
I think America.
Get out of here.
No, hold on.
Oh,
I think America is a great country right now. I look at the stock market. I look at gas price, like unemployment. I look at the opportunities for blacks, Latinos, immigrants, women, Lisa, more than ever in our history.
All right. This lady.
You know what?
Wait. This lady from NPR said this soundbite on CBS is basically saying, look, America is a racist nation. Yes, we may have made some improvements, as you just pointed out. But if you say "Make America Great Again," anything that happened in America, anything, defeating the Axis powers, Japan, you can't say that was great because people of color are getting hammered, which is partially true, by the way.
No, wait. How is that true? Wait a minute. How is that true?
No, this is absolutely, utterly ridiculous. And Juan, to your earlier point, the reality is that when Donald Trump was running for president, you had the majority of Americans who felt that this country was on the wrong track. You have the majority of Americans who felt like their children or grandchildren were going to inherit a nation that was less off than the one that they have had and the one that they've enjoyed. That is what Donald Trump meant by "Make America Great Again." Let's make America strong again. Let's rebuild the country economically.
Lisa, you go back to when George W. Bush won in 2004. A majority of Americans thought the country was headed in the wrong direction. That's not the measure. I think that America's great when it defeats the Nazis, the Axis, as Bill O'Reilly just said.
I think America is great when the country's higher than...
I don't think that means that you can't also be fighting what the civil rights movement at the time called a double V, victory abroad and victory at home over racism and discrimination.
Right, but you can't,
against women.
As that woman implied, Juan, you can't say that America, if you say "Make America Great Again," it goes back to the 80s. That's the vision of the Trump people, okay? But you can't do it because there was inequality in certain times. America was great in freeing the world from Hitler and Tojo. However, back home, things weren't that great for minorities. But you have to put everything into perspective. And that woman doesn't. She condemns her country and I didn't like it. All right, good debate.
Well,
good
I
debate.
see that, but I just ask you to realize that people who are black, Latinos, given what he said about immigrants, a lot of sensitivity. That's why
America's great when it's growing at higher than 3% economic growth.
You guys continue among yourselves. We have to take a break. Plenty more ahead. As a factor moves along this evening. Gutfeld McGurk on how racial politics are hurting the USA. And later, Waters in Times Square on New Year's Eve.
What is the biggest mistake that you made in 2016?
Not watching you on TV enough.
Best answer I heard all day.
And we hope you stay tuned for those reports. What the heck just happened segment tonight, as you just heard, there's no let up in playing the race card by the far left. Question, are Americans growing numb to it? Or will it get worse in 2017? And here they are, New Year's guys, Bernard McGurk and Greg Gutfeld. I'm so tired of this, Gutfeld. I really am. I mean, I take it personally. I'm not a Trump supporter per se. Never endorsed him or anything like that. I think I gave him a fair shot on a program. But the interviews were tough, as many people pointed out. However, I know a lot of people who supported Donald Trump. McGurk's one of them. Okay?
Absolutely.
And I'm supposed to sit here and allow them to be called racist?
Yes, because they are. No, you know what it is? Liking Donald Trump is the not liking Obama of 2016. So remember, if you didn't like Obama, you were racist. Now, if you like Trump, you are racist. Imagine.
So you're double racist.
You're double you're racist cubed. Imagine, there's a left-wing superhero. It's called Race Man, and the only power it has is to throw accusations of bigotry at you.
Right.
The great thing about 2016 is the kryptonite. It took away the power from Race Man, and that's why they're imploding everywhere, because the more the boy cried wolf.
Do you really think they're imploding, though?
Every time you employ mockery against somebody calling you a racist, they fail, and you create three new Trump supporters.
What do you say?
Well, he's absolutely right about that. It's overused. The accusation of leveling that accusation is so overused. Look, they had Ellen DeGeneres was a racist in 2016. I mean,
for the Usain Bolt thing, where she did a cute cartoon.
It's the last refuge, really, of a skunk with no argument, essentially. And yeah, they want to level it against Donald Trump because he won. They're frustrated. They want to keep it up. So I don't think it's going to stick. I mean, you know, again.
But they're not going to stop.
They're not going to stop, but he can chip away at it slowly. I mean, but look, you had Jim Brown over at the Trump Tower talking nice about Donald Trump. I understand Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to go to the inauguration.
That's what I hear.
So slowly, and if he improves the economy in the inner cities, they can chip away at it, but they'll always use it. They used it against Bush, who was a compassionate conservative. They had George Bush, 43, dragging black people behind in chains behind a pickup truck, if you remember that. So it's a playbook that they always go back to, but one that people are seeing through and are sick and tired of.
Per se to our interview with Krauthammer, top program, this plays into the difficulty of booking inaugural talent, because these entertainers, not the brightest people, many of them in the world, say, gee, you know, the blacks aren't going to like me if I show up, or maybe the Hispanics aren't going to like me. So I got to sit this one out, because there's all of that swirl.
It's not about that. It's about their peers. They're actually being punished by the people that they compete against. So if a musician says they're going to go on, then a comedian goes on Twitter and says you're a racist. So it's more about it's more about they're being intimidated by the people in their own profession. Most people don't give a damn.
I mean, look, a guy like Andrea Bocelli, and the Trump campaign says it didn't, you know, invite him, but
right. Meanwhile, he's a disabled immigrant, but anyway.
Right, but it looks like there's some truth to the fact that Mr. Bocelli is frightened.
Yeah,
he's frightened because he's a friend of Trump. Why wouldn't he go sing a couple of songs?
Nobody wants to be accused of that. You're absolutely right about that. It's such an onerous accusation to have slapped against you. But again, and the reason why they hate Trump so much is that he's unbowed by it. He's not cowed by it. He just fights back. He doubles down, and that's why they really hate Donald Trump.
It's not working. I will see that point.
I'm happy to perform there, by the way. I've offered.
What would you exactly do?
I'm a plate spinner.
Oh, is that right?
It's amazing. I can spin plates with every part of my body.
I heard
every
that.
Part.
I heard, and we really don't want that image ingrained.
Yes.
I heard that you're going to bring back Topo Gigio.
Yes, I am.
Like
I don't know
the
what
little
that is.
Italian mouse.
Oh, yes, he's quite adorable. Yes, you know, I hide him.
This is how Trump can actually curb the hate. He can transition to a woman. I think that will just solve everything.
You mean he could become a woman?
Donna Trump. He would break glass ceilings.
Trump.
Donna Trump. He looked damn good in a dress. I mean, you know, use the Stairmaster a little bit.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But I mean, it's possible. It's another way to chip away.
It's not possible.
Stupid, frivolous charges of racism all the time.
All right, let's end on that note. It's not possible. When we come right back, new survey says there are more conservatives in America than liberals, but the trends are changing. The water's going wild on New Year's Eve. Up ahead.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7. Channel 115. The O'Reilly Factor. The #1 cable news show for 16 years and counting.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Unresolved Problem segment tonight, ideology. According to a Gallup survey, 36% of the American adult population now describe themselves as conservative. 25% say they are liberal. 34% moderate. 5 years ago, the number was 40% conservative, 21% liberal, 35% moderate. So the left is gaining. Question is why? Joining us now from Seattle, conservative radio talk show host Michael Medved, author of the new book, The American Miracle. So Michael, are you surprised that the liberal trend is on the rise, and why do you think it's going on?
Well, I don't think it's going up very much. Mostly it's on the rise among Democrats. In other words, what's happened is people who are moderate have left the Democratic Party and have gone over to the Republican Party or to no identification. And what you really are seeing is more and more Democrats who are now okay with gay marriage, are now okay with legalized marijuana, are now okay with transgendered issues, and now okay with abortion on demand. So all of a sudden the word liberal doesn't have that stigma that it once did. But let's be clear, 75% of the American electorate, even according to the new Gallup poll, are not liberal. They are moderate or conservative.
But a four-point rise in the liberal identification, as opposed to a 4-point drop in conservative, tells me, and this is why I think it's happening, that the media, which is more unrelentingly liberal today than it was 5 years ago, it's really everywhere. Entertainment, news, even sports. Right. That the media moving left and promoting the left point of view, that's why the dial's moving, I think.
But it's always been that way. I mean,
but not as overt as it is now.
I would suggest that every bit as overt as it is now. I mean, the media, for instance, in terms of the gay rights agenda, has been very, very energetic on that issue for many, many years. The point about this is that the solid base of conservatism has not been dented or damaged. In the last two elections, the exit polls showed that 34% and 35% of Americans describe themselves as conservative. It's still an 11-point gain on liberals. And here's the key thing. Liberals cannot win without winning overwhelming percentages of moderates. And the more and more the Democratic Party goes over to the extreme left that you're talking about, the tougher time they're going to have winning those moderates that they need to win. Conservatives can win, as Trump did, without winning moderates. But Trump came closer among moderates than Romney did.
It's a good point that in order to gain power, because you know that the senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, is going to run for president. She's already, building a base. Bernie, I don't think he's going to do it again, but she will. All right. But there's no outreach to moderates from Elizabeth Warren. It's like Wall Street's evil. Everybody who supports Trump is a racist, as we just talked about. There's no outreach. So you're right. It's going to be very hard for her to get traction. But I do believe that there's a sensibility, and you see it in the marijuana thing in your state. Yeah. All right, you see that.
Sure.
15 years ago, most Americans were against marijuana. But now it's been glorified by the media and accepted by the media. So the kids, the younger people, go, yeah, there's nothing wrong with marijuana. Meantime, we have a study out of Colorado that says if you smoke marijuana every day, you're going to be in serious physical trouble. That just came out. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But the point is that Donald Trump cuts beyond all of this. And you may have noticed he does not wrap himself in the term conservative. Donald Trump is about winning. He's about pragmatism. Right. He's about results. And all of this is going to matter. How many people in Gallup say I'm liberal, whatever that means, how many people say I'm conservative, how many people say I'm moderate. What's going to matter is if Trump convinces Americans that the country is moving in the right direction.
Well, and that's all economics. But you have to see that his appointments, cabinet appointments, have been conservative, and he will appoint a conservative Supreme Court justice nominee. So while he doesn't,
will absolutely. And
yeah, well, he doesn't describe himself that way. All his actions are tailored to the right. Now, I want you to tell everybody why they should buy your book, American Miracle. What's the miracle?
The miracle is the mere existence of this country and the fact that a group of very struggling, straggling colonies ended up being the dominant nation in the world. And it's no accident. The subtitle of the book is Divine Providence in the Rise of the Republic, and that America is the product not of random evolution or a series of accidents or a series of happy accidents. America is the product of a plan. All our founders, all of our leaders, including Jackson and Lincoln, Reagan, and even Barack Obama, have conceded there is some kind of higher power guiding American destiny. I love the quote by Bismarck. He says, I know that God grants special protection for imbeciles, lost children, drunkards, and the United States of America.
Wow.
May that continue.
I don't know if that's good company, but it's a good quote. Michael, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Water's on deck. He's roaming around Times Square on New Year's Eve. You can watch what happened next. Back in the book segment tonight, Waters' World. As you may know, Jesse Waters was working on New Year's Eve. Not exactly sure what he was doing in Times Square, but he was there. And he did double duty for us.
Where are you from?
Wales in the UK.
You're Welsh.
I'm Welsh, yeah.
So am I. Brother from another mother.
No.
What was the biggest mistake you made in 2016?
Following other people's opinions.
Like when everyone said Hillary was going to win? What is the biggest mistake that you made in 2016?
Not watching you on TV enough.
Best answer I heard all day. Who are you going to kiss at midnight?
It might be you, so watch out.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There you go.
Oh. Who are you going to kiss when the ball drops?
Got any suggestions?
God, I've never felt so alive.
So what do you think is going to happen in 2017?
I would say a comet hits the Earth.
Can it hit the Iranians?
I don't know. Can it? What is that? I don't even know what that is.
This is a practical joke, right, Brian? Alien invasion for sure.
We already had the aliens invade. Have you ever seen James Carville?
An x-ray of my skeleton looks just like me.
What do you think is going to happen in 2017?
World peace.
It's going to be a beautiful year filled with love and acceptance. I'm sure of it.
Did you read that on a Hallmark card?
I'm looking forward to traveling more and maybe having a baby.
Name the baby Jesse. It's a good name.
He kind of looks like a baby.
Good vibes, happiness, and qu'est-ce que tu penses que ça va se passer en 2017?
Wait. Is that French?
Yes.
We don't speak French in Water's World. What do you think is going to happen in 2017?
I'm going to meet the love of my life.
Maybe he's here tonight.
Maybe he could be. You never know.
Not necessarily.
Which celebrity is going to melt down next year?
Probably Zac Efron.
Why do you say that?
I think it's his time.
What? Yes!
Which celebrity do you think is going to have a major meltdown in 2017?
Mariah Carey.
How do you think Donald Trump is going to handle 2017?
I'm hopeful that he's able to bring people together in the end.
Hopefully he gets impeached.
But the Democrats don't have the House.
We have to support our president, whether or not we voted for him.
What do you think is going to happen to Bill O'Reilly in 2017?
Let's all hope Bill's okay. We always hope Bill's okay.
Have you read any of Bill O'Reilly's books?
Killing Lincoln, I think. I read part of it.
What happens at the end?
Well, I didn't read the end.
Anything you want to tell Bill O'Reilly for the new year?
Who are Bill and Riley?
Bill O'Reilly.
Exactly.
Check, please.
So here's what is the lady predicted Mariah Carey meltdown.
She nailed it.
And it was what, 8 hours before the fact?
Pretty
right?
much, yeah.
Were you there or did you see Mariah?
No, I was home at that point.
You were home?
I was off at 10, so I had to get home
out of here
for the ball to
right.
drop.
You had a curfew.
Yeah, I did have a curfew after what happened last year.
Yeah. Most people seemed optimistic. That's good, right?
Yeah, some of them seemed optimistic. A lot of them were upset because they'd been standing in the freezing cold since 9 a.m. with no food and no restrooms. Well, but I think they perked up when they saw me, obviously.
Number one, it wasn't freezing. It was 45 degrees at midnight. So
you know what I mean by cold, Bill?
No, I don't. And number two, you're in Times Square, so there are restaurants around. You can get some food.
No, they were ordering pizza delivery. Domino's was coming.
Because the police wouldn't let you in and out?
Once you're in, you're in.
You're in, you're in.
You've never done Times Square?
I'm afraid. It frightened me. When I saw Mariah Carey, I was terrified.
You should have.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen.
I think she was just as terrified.
You know, I don't know whether she knew where she was. I mean, did you see her?
Maybe she was part of the alien invasion.
That's right. A couple of people feel that there's going to be an alien invasion.
That's right.
It's what makes America a great place. All right, Waters, and I want to remind everybody that Waters, in 10 days, will make his debut in the Spin Stops Here live show with Dennis Miller and myself. That will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. How lucky can you guys get? At the BOK Center, January 13th. Also, a few tickets remain for the shows in Omaha, Nebraska, Tacoma, Washington, later on in March. Check it all out on BillO'Reilly.com. In fact, the tip of the day, a resolution that you have to hear. The tip, moments away as the factor continues all across the USA and all around the world.
I like straightforward people. There's just too much lying in the public conversation. I'm just interested in what I think is true, and I'll say it. And I expect other people who are on the set to do the same. I want Tucker Carlson Tonight to be a show that I would watch.
Factor tip today, a New Year's resolution that should be important to you. But first, we receive some very good news on January 1st. Factor once again ruled the cable TV landscape, a dominant #1 across the board in 2016, and we thank you all for that. Also, Killing the Rising Sun, the #1 adult hardback book of the year by a wide margin. That counts fiction as well. So we're very pleased, and we understand it's all because of you guys. Now the mail. Akira Yamamoto, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. I'm tired of meaningless news and tweets from both the far left and the far right. Bill, where do you suggest we get our news? Tough one, Akira. The Wall Street Journal shoots pretty straight most of the time. The Economist magazine is left editorially, but its hard news coverage is pretty accurate. Investors Business Daily tells the truth. On TV, it's dicey everywhere, but the 60 Minutes crew works hard to be accurate. Not an easy thing to find fair and balanced news. I mean, that's our slogan here, and I think that Fox News tries hard to provide that, but it's difficult. Mark Campbell, Mason, Ohio. Bill, I have to call you out for failing to point out issues with Common Core and the avalanche of lies used to support global warming. Two of my least favorite subjects, Mark. Common Core is a local educational issue, one I can't possibly define with any accuracy. Global warming is real, but no one knows whether it's a natural cycle situation, man-made, or a combination of both. I always say that a clean planet is best. We should all work toward that and stop the political garbage. Greg Russell, Bullhead City, Arizona. Someone needs to tell Donald Trump to stop being a battlelogist, meaning a person who repeats words. Battlelogist. I've never used that because I can barely say it. All right? Person who overuses certain words. But it's worked for Mr. Trump, hasn't it? His message got through. Larry Lefevre, Bellevue, Washington, as a retired military officer who knew many of the players in Killing the Rising Sun, I was impressed by the accuracy of the book. Well, I appreciate that, Larry. Edward Fellows, Ellenton, Florida. Being a new BillO'Reilly.com premium member, I chose Killing the Rising Sun as my free book. I did not want it to end. Werner Lowenberg, Tegucigalpa, Honduras. O'Reilly referred to Angela Merkel as Prime Minister. Her correct title is Chancellor of Germany. I misspoke, Werner. Nice pickup by you. When I said it, I even know, and then I corrected it later, but I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't make those kinds of mistakes. And finally tonight, a New Year's resolution that you should hear. There's no question that Social Security payments are going to have to change in the next few years. Government running out of money pay its obligations. And modifications are going to be made. That means that many of us will get less money from the government, even though we paid into the Social Security fund for decades. Our expectations will not be met by the feds in the future. So here's a resolution. Starting today, save as much money as you possibly can. You have to do it methodically. Start off with putting 5% of your net income every month in the bank. I know you're not getting a lot of interest, but just put it there. Then get it up to 10% if you can. I know it's difficult, but if you do it, you'll be much better off in the future. Protect yourself. Put the money away. That Social Security thing is coming. Factor tip of the day. That is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, different from BillO'Reilly.com. Also, we'd like you to spout off about Factor from anywhere in the world. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com, O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. Name and town if you wish to opine. Word of the day, do not be banal when writing to the Factor. Now, tomorrow, we're going to get into Chicago and San Francisco. Murder rate in Chicago is scandalous. Nobody doing anything about it. San Francisco, it's property crime. Crazy. We're going to tell you why it's happening. Again, thanks for watching us tonight. I am Bill O'Reilly. Please always remember, the spin stops here. We're definitely looking out for you.
Breaking tonight, with just over 2 weeks until President-elect Donald Trump is sworn in, and before he takes a single official act as president, Democrats are mobilizing to block, delay, and obstruct his agenda. Welcome to